Yes, I am here. USMNT top 10, guys. No napping. It's being happened. I was just finishing up the PowerPoint. How are you guys doing? Another fun week, another good week. A lot of good performances to talk about. What you guys been up to? Labor Day weekend. Anybody got big plans? USMNT top 10. Smash that like button, guys. We got some good ones this week. We got some good ones. How have you been? Blood fell asleep. I wish. I wish. Hey, Elias, how are you? How you doing? I'm wearing a red cape and holding a scepter in support of Noah Buck. I think you mean Noah Buck. I'll talk about Noah Buck a little bit at the end. I think it's being blown a little out of proportion here, guys. Tillman going to be above Aaronson on depth by the time we hit 2026. Yeah, I don't think that's even that hot of a take there, Judgmental Deity. What's up, guys? How you been? Sailor Tuss says Guatemala-Honduras friendly just kicked off. Okay. Not watching Messi tonight because I'm doing this, and then I have to work on the Patreon for tomorrow. I'm tired of almighty patch ad before I watch your videos. I don't know what ads they put on my videos, man. All right, guys. We have what? Almost 80 people in the stream right now. Only 31 likes. Let's get it up to 50. Let's get it up to 50, guys. Before we begin, first up on USMNT top 10 is Kevin Paredes. He only played 22 minutes against Hoffenheim. Wolfsburg was losing 3-1. And honestly, the stats on FOTMob really don't highlight, in my opinion, his performance. They don't actually represent his performance. In my opinion, he was the best attacker on the field for Wolfsburg when he came on, particularly when he shunted off to the right around the 80th minute. Very, very good. Didn't get the ball enough. Always did something very good with it. Had two key passes that ended up in chances created, and then created one chance of his own. 2 out of 3 passes into the final third. 2 out of 3 ground duels won. He had a good game, in my opinion, a very good game. And it's just a matter of time before Wolfsburg has to give him a start because he consistently looks good off the bench. And now he's in, USMNT camp. We'll see if he gets any minutes. I doubt it, personally, knowing Greg, but you never know. You never know. I'm just excited to see him. He's young, still just 20 years old, 19, turning 20. Still has a lot to offer, especially the future of the program. If you asked me, would I rather have a Kevin Paredes or a Cade Cowell? It would be Kevin Paredes all day, every day. This was the clear chance that he created. I think it was for Jonas Wind. Ball came in the air, and he just scooted back and just laid it off with his head. A nice little cut back with his head, and his teammate completely missed it. That could have made it 3-2. I mean, at this point, it was the 93rd minute, so I doubt they would have equalized. But that was the chance created. But this one doesn't really – I have the clips from the other really good things that he did on this right-hand side, and they're going to be there on the Patreon. By the way, guys, thank you to everybody who, joined the Patreon the last 2 weeks. This particular video series is a hit on Patreon, and I really appreciate it. It's a way to support the channel, especially now that we don't have a sponsor. So thank you. Much, much gratitude to all of you. Number 9 is Tim Ream. Now, Tim, I had reservations about putting Tim Ream in the top 10 because, frankly, he had a bit of a mixed week. He was very good defensively against Tottenham. They drew 1-1 with Tottenham in the League's Cup in midweek, and Fulham ended up winning on penalties. 80% passing accuracy, played 90 minutes, just conceded the 1 goal. 11 passes into the final third, 1 block, 3 clearances, 6 interceptions, and 7 recoveries. Now, this weekend against Man City, he did score a goal against Manchester City. And if you score a goal against the best team in the world, regardless of what kind of goal it is, you definitely are in contention. That being said, he also had some really poor moments against Manchester City defensively. And part of me thinks, well, most defenders in the world have poor moments against Manchester City. But part of me thinks, no, he could have done better in quite a few of these moments. It's one thing to be beaten by pure quality and class, but in a lot of these instances, I don't think that was the case. He was quite shaky. Yes, Dan. So this was the goal. We'll start with the goal. As you can see, not exactly a golazzo, but it was off a corner. I don't remember who shot it. The goalkeeper saved it, and he rushed first to the far post to score it. So good alertness, good awareness, nice finish. That made it 1-1. That being said, this was the first goal that Manchester City scored, where you go, he's got to be better here. And I don't know if you can see it, but if you look, the ball is played into Haaland on the left-hand channel, okay? And here, as Haaland is played in, he's not watching Julian Alvarez making that run into the box, and he's instead asking for the offside on Haaland. In the end, Haaland gets through, and Alvarez goes in and scores, and he's too far behind him by the end. If he had focused on defending this particular moment instead of holding his hand up, asking for the offside, he could have maybe stayed with Julian Alvarez. So for me, that was a poor moment. That made it 1-0. He followed that up with the goal, so okay, some redemption. But then on this goal too, he was poor. The ball was played in by Julian Alvarez, and it looked like he was trying to cut out this through ball here to Erling Haaland, but when you actually watch it, he actually let it go for some reason, and I'm not sure why he did that, right? But he played him in behind, and then Haaland scored again. So at least 2 of the goals that Man City scored, he has some culpability. You could even argue the final goal they scored, which was also Haaland, he should have been marking him a little bit tighter. So he almost didn't make this top 10, but the fact that he did get a very good performance midweek against a tough team like Spurs, and the goal against Manchester City, and also the lack of other options means that he just snuck in this week. Matt Turner is another one that I debated not bringing onto the top 10 this week because he played 2 games. Burnley, they lost 1-0 to Burnley in midweek in the League's Cup. He played 90 minutes, made one very, very good save against Burnley, had about a 60% passing accuracy, 3 high claims, and 1 punch. And then he played 90 minutes against Chelsea and kept a clean sheet. Now, for everybody who went on to FOTMOB, who didn't watch this game and went on to FOTMOB after the game, saw that Matt Turner was man of the match, according to FOTMOB. Guys, this is why you don't believe FOTMOB most of the time. He had almost nothing to do against Chelsea. He did make 2 saves, but both of them were very routine saves. Nothing special. Doesn't mean he was poor. You could argue there was one cross that came in that was right over his head under no pressure that he punched away instead of grabbing, right? A really good goalkeeper would have just grabbed it. He does still seem a little shaky at times, and now he's got competition. He's got that Benfica goalkeeper, right, who's there. I don't know what the plan is for him. I'm nervous because although that guy was not very good for Benfica, it's also nerve-wracking that they spent more on him than they did on Turner. Did they bring him in to be the number 2, to challenge Turner? Is Turner going to go back after the international break? And there's a whole new situation there for him. That being said, Turner's going to have to fight for his spot. If he gets too shaky or starts making any meaningful mistakes, then that guy will be ready to step up and take his spot, right? So could be that's why they brought him in. As of now, he's played 5 out of 5 for Forest, so that's good news. Hopefully, long may that continue. He didn't have enough to do against Chelsea, but if you keep a clean sheet against a team like Chelsea, you will make it into the top 10. This was the save he had against Burnley. It was actually a very good save. 1v1, came off, narrowed the angle, and then dove to his left to try and to save that shot. So that was actually a really nice save against Burnley. Couldn't prevent them from losing that game 1-0. That's from last week. We don't want that. Number 7 is John Anthony Brooks. Now, John Brooks' Hoffenheim won 3-1 against Wolfsburg. He played the full 90 minutes, and he scored a goal. He also had culpability on the only goal that Wolfsburg scored, and we'll look at that. But he had a 74% passing accuracy, 1 block, 7 clearances, 2 interceptions, and 3 recoveries. This was the goal. I don't know what he was doing in the box like a striker. This wasn't off a corner. This wasn't off a set piece. This was off of possession, a little cutback across the box, and John Anthony Brooks completely unmarked, runs in and finishes like a forward. Very strange that nobody was marking, and even stranger that he was all the way up there. But hey, he did it, and he made it 1-1. That was the equalizing goal. But we also have to acknowledge this moment that led to Hoffenheim's only goal. This ball comes in the air, and he steps in front of the striker here to try and win it, or he probably should have just stayed goal side. If you step, you have to win it. He did not win it. Therefore, Jonas Wind was able to turn with the ball, play it out to the left, and that was it. Game over. Oh, not game over, but that was it, 1-1. So he definitely had culpability on that first goal, but he managed to win 3-1, had a solid defensive performance otherwise, and scored one of Hoffenheim's goals. So he manages to make that top 10. It's interesting that the USMNT Twitter account, which tweets about Americans abroad, did not tweet about John Brooks. Now that Greg Berhalter is back, John Brooks is no longer a USMNT center back. We know we've seen this for the last 2 years. Okay, last 2 years, he's not going to be there. Tanner Tessman played 2 games this week. One in midweek against Sampdoria, which is mostly what he wins this for, and then had another very good game today against Cittadella. So he played 90 minutes against Sampdoria, and not only scored an absolute belter of a goal directly off a free kick, it was also the winning goal in the dying minutes. Okay, 84% passing accuracy, 6 passes into the final third, 2 out of 3 successful dribbles, 5 out of 11 ground duels won, 0 out of 1 aerial duels won, and drew 1 foul. Against Cittadella today, he did not score, but he had an even more impressive performance. He played 89 minutes. Unfortunately, he did come off injured. Had a 75% passing accuracy, created 2 chances, 7 passes into the final third, 5 out of 7 accurate long balls, 3 out of 3 successful dribbles, 6 out of 11 ground duels won, 3 out of 5 aerial duels won, and 1 foul drawn. This was the free kick that he scored against Sampdoria. Really, really nice free kick. Was the goalkeeper, I guess the goalkeeper was slightly off his line, and he was assuming this was going to be a cross into the 6-yard box, and then he couldn't get back in time. But belter of a goal from Tanner Tessman here, so well done to him. He did pull up injured in the 89th minute and then walked off. I don't know how bad it is. Scally's looked pretty bad, and apparently Scally is in camp. He was brought in, remember, to replace Johnny Cardoso, who was injured. And then he pulls up injured. So it's frustrating. But we don't know if he's going to be in camp or not. This is kind of a wait-and-see sort of situation here. Sammy Vines from Royal Antwerp also had another very good week. In midweek, he played against AEK Athens in Antwerp's final leg of the Champions League qualifiers, which they won. Played 90 minutes. He got 2 second assists. So not the pass before the pass, basically, right? One of them was a throw-in. One was a nice release ball down the left. Also completed 3 out of 3 tackles, 6 out of 6 ground duels won, 2 out of 2 aerial duels won. So all of his duels were won. Drew 3 fouls, 5 clearances, 1 interaction, 6 recoveries. For Union Saint-Gilloise today, he scored a belter of a goal, apparently, allegedly. Had a 91% passing accuracy, 1 out of 1 successful dribbles, 1 out of 1 cross, 1 out of 1 ground duels. Guys, I searched high and low for the tape on this goal. High and low. I'm telling you, I could not find it anywhere. The only thing I got was this drawing off FotMob. That was, to me, that looks like a belter from outside the box into the top corner. So good for Sammy Vines. I don't think Sammy Vines is USMNT material. But he'll be in the Champions League this year. He's a regular starter with Antwerp. And he did also get injured today. That's why he only played 29 minutes. He's 24 years old, not Olympic eligible. I don't personally rate him, but if you're going to have a good weekend or a good week, really, good for him. Let's see how he does in the Champions League. Next up, Luca Colosi, who is still USMNT eligible. He has not committed yet to anybody. He could still file a one-time switch. Although it is telling that he not only rejected a USMNT call-up this week, but then went and accepted a Italy under-20 call-up. So if you ask me, what are the chances of him representing the US? I would say low. Okay, I would say low. Played 68 minutes, got 1 assist, 6 out of 8 successful passes, so didn't sound like he was very involved in those 68 minutes, to be honest. 5 out of 10 successful dribbles. He's definitely not going to Canada, guys. Canada is down bad. It's between the US and Italy. Right now, I think he's leaning very, very hard to Italy. And to be honest, I think the only chance that we get him is if Italy stops paying attention, stops calling him up, right? Judgmental Deity says, you said the same about Balo, Pete. That gives me hope. Well, that's why he's on here. I did say the same thing about Balogun, right? So we'll see. We will see. Now, if Italy were to miss a World Cup, although by that point he'd probably have too many caps, he'd be cap tied. But I have a feeling, guys, I just don't think we're going to get this one. This was a nice assist or decent assist. Ball was played into the channel. He still had work to do. Beat his man 1v1 and then laid it back for his teammate to score the opening goal against Tottenham. They ended up losing this game 5-2. But you get an assist in the Premier League, especially against a team like Tottenham, you're gonna make it into the top 10. Yes, Keegan Ash Williams, we got to do the same thing that we did to Balogun. Yeah, why not? Go spam his, spam. Go hit him up with American flags and love and heart and, make him want to come play for us. We can always use quality winger depth, especially after Zendejas' poor performance in the Gold Cup and also, our general tendency toward injury, which is becoming really annoying. Sergino Dest. Sergino Dest is loving it over at PSV Eindhoven. He's got a new lease on life. Started every single game since he joined. Well, all 3. This was against Rangers in midweek, the game that they won 5-1, right? Which more than sealed PSV's qualification to the Champions League. Played 90 minutes, created 1 chance, 84% passing accuracy, 2 out of 2 successful dribbles, 3 passes into the final third, 8 out of 10 ground duels won, 1 out of 1 aerial duels won, and 1 foul drawn. And then this week, he was also started. He started on the left in midweek against Rangers, and he started on the right instead of Jordan Teze at right back and looked really good. Played 84 minutes, created 1 chance, 85% passing accuracy, 5 out of 6 successful dribbles. That's a match highest. In 2 out of the 3 games that he's played for PSV so far, he's had the highest, the most amount of dribbles of anybody in the game, successful dribbles. 9 passes into the final third and won about half of his ground duels against Warwick. This was probably his best moment against Rangers. He burst into midfield, gave the ball to Noah Lang, and then continued his run. Noah Lang played him in behind, and with his weak foot, cut it all the way back to Saibari, but Saibari shot too close to the keeper, and the keeper was able to save it with his legs. So it's just good to see him not only playing, but playing well, looking sharp and focused. And let's see what he looks like in the Champions League. It looks like he's going to be a regular starter for PSV Eindhoven. So that's great. Paxten Aaronson, you guys. Paxten Aaronson had another very good week. He got his first start in midweek against Levski Sofia in their Conference League qualifier. Played 83 minutes, created 2 chances. 2 of those were from set pieces. They had him on set pieces, which was fascinating. On his first start, he was taking all their free kicks and corners. 97% passing accuracy, 1 key pass, 7 out of 12 ground duels won, 0 out of 1 aerial duel won, and 3 fouls drawn. Now, against Cologne, he only played 10 minutes this weekend. Came off the bench. They were losing 1-0. But he did get 1 assist. He also had 66% passing accuracy and drew 1 foul. Now, it wasn't the best assist in the world, but if you're putting up numbers when you come off the bench, it's just a matter of time before he starts getting regular starts. And he is still just 20. So him and Paredes are the 2 former U20 players that are just emerging into that Olympic-eligible group that are getting minutes off the bench and aren't far away from becoming starters, or at least rotational starters. This was the assist. I actually think he was going to hit this. And again, the actual clip will be available on Patreon tomorrow morning. But the ball was played to him, and he could have hit it, but his teammate kind of got in the way. And by the time he sort of had to dribble past his teammate, you can see here there were 4 guys blocking his path to goal. So he just made the mature, intelligent decision to give it to Nkunku on the left-hand channel, and Nkunku had plenty of time to pick out the far post. So not like an amazing assist or anything. Seems pretty straightforward. But hey, made the correct decision in the right moment, and it paid off for him. Let's see if that continues. Number 1 on this week's USMNT Top 10 is Malik Tillman, who scored his first goal for PSV. And guys, it was no tapping. He only played 18 minutes. And yes, you can certainly argue that Warwick were down 3-0 at that point. They were tired. They'd sort of lost all the fight. It was very late in the game. And this is really just the finish. Okay, this is a good quality finish, but this doesn't show what it was. He was running outside the box towards goal, took a long ball down with under pressure from 2 different defenders, shrugged them off, burst into pace, took it down on his chest, held them off, burst into space, and then finished. And yes, BMR, I'm giving Tillman number 1 for 18 minutes of play. Tell me who you think deserved it more, okay? So yeah, it was a very nice goal. It wasn't just a good finish. It was a very nice goal that he had a lot of work to do to create it himself. So well done to him. The next thing I want to do is talk a little bit about this, and then I'll talk about Noah Buck, guys. I put on Twitter the other day just numbers, just the amount of players playing in the top 5 leagues from CONCACAF's Big 3, right? So it's 23 for the US, 7 for Mexico, and 3 for Canada. Now, of course, the Mexican fans, being down as bad as they are there going, well, it doesn't matter because our guys are starters and your guys are just a bunch of bench players. And we hear this a lot, not just from Mexico fans, from American fans too. Like, our guys aren't very good. They're all bench players, which is such a, first of all, it's a very one-dimensional way to look at a player's quality, a bench player. Because a bench player for Manchester City and a starter in MLS aren't even remotely the same thing, right? So now he did get locked. So what I did was I basically went and I made 3 categories for our guys playing in Europe. One is lock starters. That means if they're healthy, they're going to start. The second one is rotational starters, right? You sometimes start, sometimes come off the bench, but almost always you're going to get minutes. And 3 are the true bench warmers. So the guys who are really, truly bench warmers, and 2 of them aren't even in the top 5, right? It was Pepe, Tillman, Paredes, Paxten, Richards, and Trusty. It's really just those 6. Rotational starters, these are guys who aren't going to start every game this season, but will be in and out of the starting lineup, is Reina, McKennie, Weah, Aaronson, De La Torre, and Wright. Okay, and De La Torre, I only have him in rotational because he's actually started 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 for Celta Vigo this season. Weah has also started 2 out of 3 for Juventus, but I can't put them in lock starter unless they truly are lock starter. But to be honest, guys, if you're starting 2 out of 3, you're not a bench warmer. So I call these guys rotational starters for now, and that could very much change. For example, McKennie started today. We'll see how it goes over the course of the season. But the vast majority of these guys, they're locked-in starters. Pulisic, Turner, Ream, Robinson, Adams, Brooks, Scally, Sargent, Leonard Maloney, Fowler and Balogun, Dest, and Booth. J-Town says, Balogun didn't start. Shouldn't he be in rotation? He didn't start because he got there 48 hours before the game. So you're not going to start a new signing like that 48 hours before a game. But they didn't pay 30+ million plus add-ons for him to ride the bench. So I'm very confident that he is going to be a lock starter. Let's see. Oh, yeah, CCV. I forgot about CCV. He should also be a locked-in starter when he's healthy. Definitely. So you're talking about 13 guys. BMR says Turner may not be a locked-in starter. If that changes, it changes. As of right now, he has started 5 out of 5 for Forest, for Nottingham Forest. So They're guys who, he's not going to be, until that changes, he's a locked-in starter for me. Okay? Also, let me remind you that of the bench warmers, quote unquote, 2 of them just joined a very big club. Both Pepe and Tillman were locked-in starters in Scotland and the Eredivisie, right? Let me remind you of that. The only reason they're bench warmers now is because they just joined a new club that's much better than any club that they played for, and so they're going to have to earn their way. They're also 20 and 21. Now, Paredes and Paxten Aaronson are also bench players. They're 19 and 20 years old, but they're getting regular minutes off the bench. So that could change very quickly. They could easily get bumped into rotational starters this season. Richards and Trusty are true bench warmers, actually. But outside of that, it's not like most of our guys. I forgot to add Musa to bench warmers. Okay, so that would be 7 bench warmers out of the 24 that we have in Europe in the top 5 leagues. Actually, if you look at 6, if you say top 6, because that's where mostly our guys play, then we have another 6 guys that play in the Eredivisie, right? So this is it. I don't think it is this situation of like, yeah, they all play in Europe, but they're all bench players. I think a few of them are. A lot of them are rotational starters, but the vast majority of them are pretty much lock starters. David Wheatley says, Mr. Massney, why no Dwayne Holmes in top 10? A penalty and an assist in 45 minutes. Good. So, David, he's not really on my radar, I'll be honest. He probably should be, because if he's doing it in the championship, he's not a USMNT level player anytime soon, but he is an American, so he probably should be eligible. So thanks for the heads up. Yeah. Real quick, let me hit these 2 super chats. We got President Chip. Hello, Pete. The 11 Yanks Discord is up and ready. Thank you, man. I've been very swamped. I'm going to continue to be very swamped. I'm going to Chicago on Tuesday. I've got work there, and then we also have international camp coming up. So I don't know if I'm able to get to setting that up properly and maybe doing a call-in until after the European window. But thank you so much for your work on getting that up. Remember when Chelsea fans would blame Pulley? I know. Now they can blame Matt Turner. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, last time I was on here, I made a joke about Chelsea being a mid-table team. And it really spiked some guys' diabetes in the comments. He was furious. I unsubscribed. I just want you to know, because you are just mad about Pulisic, and so you said that Chelsea's a mid-table club. And of course, I was being ironic. I was being tongue-in-cheek because it's Chelsea. But I'll be honest, they finished, 10th last year? 11th? 10th or 11th? So they finished mid-table last year. They're currently just outside the relegation zone. And I'm sorry, I'm going to double down on what I said, Mr. I unsubscribed because you said an opinion that I disagree with. I think they're going to be somewhere in the 8 to 12 range again this year. So if you finish mid-table twice in a row, then yeah, you are a mid-table club. So bam, mid-table club Chelsea. I'm sorry if that spikes your blood sugar. Try to make sure you have an apple or something to bring it back down. Okay, they finished 12th last season. They finished 12th. They're also going to be in 8 to 12 again this year. That is something you can count on. I promise. And I'm telling you, the only reason I don't care about your history, they lost a lot of good players. It's a toxic environment. There's no plan. They brought in a lot of players that aren't Chelsea level. There's no balance throughout that team. It's absurd. It's absurd. They're still relying on guys like, fucking Conor Gallagher is not a Chelsea level player. Nicholas Jackson is not a Chelsea level player, right? So Carl Tanner says Apple would bring your blood sugar up, Pete. I don't know how it works. How do you bring your blood sugar down? Anyways, Chelsea's a mid-table team. And the sooner their fans accept that, the less angst they will have over the rest of the season. Because if you're expecting top 4 and you end up in 9th, then you're going to be miserable. If you accept that you're a mid-table team, then you can go, okay, it's not ideal to be 9th, but it's positive enough. People will be mad at the Jackson comment. Let them be. Let them be. Mudryk is not a Chelsea level player. Lots of guys are not Chelsea level players on there. Okay, and they're going to find that out very quickly over the course of the season. And I'm telling you, they're going to finish somewhere between 8 and 12. And they keep pushing out good players. They have a history of doing it. They push out top players for lots of reasons. I mean, De Bruyne, Salah, Pulisic, Tomori, Giroud, Loftus-Cheek, I don't think was a Chelsea level player. But yeah, tons of guys. 120 million on Caicedo, guys. Absurd. 120 million on Caicedo. 100 million almost on Mudryk. Absurd. No wonder they're just a disaster team. They're a disaster team. And that Pulisic isn't a top player. False. 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 I think he's showing that already with Milan BMR. I also think the key role that he played in helping them to make top 4 the first year he was there, and then helping them win the Champions League the subsequent year, showed me that, yes, he is a top player. When you have a coach that believes in you and gives you a regular run of games, Pulisic is effective. And we're seeing that now at Milan. And we're seeing it. And I think it's going to continue. So long as he stays healthy. It didn't help him that he kept getting injured. But so long as he stays healthy, when he has a coach that believes in him, when he has a system that suits his ability, he is a top player. I'm not saying he's world class, but he absolutely was Chelsea quality. Right? Are you doing a live stream for Arsenal versus PSV? You mean in the Champions League? Probably at some point, but I'm not worried about that right now because first we have the international break that we have to go through. Let's talk a little bit about Noah Buck, guys. Noah Buck has been called up to England's under-19s, and there's a lot of chit-chat about it. In my opinion, okay, go. I like Noah Buck. I did a whole scouting report on him. I've been giving him his props this season. Right up until the Olympics, Noah Buck was the most impressive young American in MLS, and it was very exciting to see. He is still eligible for the U.S. under-20s this cycle. Him, Obed Vargas, Ben Kremaski, and Josh Winder are the 4 that are eligible for the under-20 cycle. Now, Noah Buck did have a very good form running up to the Olympics, and I thought he should have been included in the Olympics over someone like Owen Wolff, who I don't think is a very good player. He wasn't, okay? Mikey Varas had his guys, and he maybe could have a case about that. Now, Greg Berhalter said recently that he spoke with him, and he said, you are potentially one of the guys that could fight for a spot in the lead up to 2026. Buck is 18 years old. Also, since he has come back from injury, he has not been very good. He had a good start to the season, got injured around the Olympics time, and then since coming back, he hasn't been at the same level, and that's okay. He's 18. There's going to be ups and downs. But he's not senior team quality yet. And he appeared to be firing shots at the U.S., showed up to his New England press conference wearing an England jersey and seems pretty unhappy with his treatment. I'll say this. I think it's fair to be unhappy about the under-20 snub. You did arrive on the scene a little bit late. I probably would still have brought him, but I don't think not bringing him was the most egregious thing, considering how late he started to show up form-wise. Okay? Now, for him to be like, the U.S. hasn't shown me any love when, Berhalter called you like a week ago and explained to you what his plans are for you, I think is a little bit disingenuous. And Noah Buck, sorry, you're never playing for the England senior team. They have 30 Noah Bucks in Premier League academies, same age as you. So I don't know what he's thinking. And to be honest, I think if he's a smart kid, he knows he's not going to represent England ever. But this might be a play to try to get the U.S. to pay more attention to him. Personally, I think Noah Buck needs to focus on playing really well for New England and getting back in the roster. Right? I'm nobody to compliment Berhalter, but I don't think Berhalter was, he was a must call-up. He didn't get a call-up. You could argue, yeah, well, Ben Kremaski got a call-up. Okay. Ben Kremaski, though, has been outperforming Noah Buck in the last 2 to 3 months, and I think that's fair to say. So if you want to go represent the Redcoats under-19s, that's fine. You do you. What you have to be very careful about is not burning any bridges with the U.S. with your comments because, I'm sorry, you're not playing for England. I know you might. You weren't even called up for England's under-21s. Okay, you were called up for their under-19s. So let's keep that in mind. Do your thing. Go check out England. I promise you'll never play for their senior team. Maybe you'll get an under-21 call-up here or there. But, dude, there's an under-20. You're a starter for this under-20 team for the U.S. in this cycle. What do you want to do with that? Well, that's up to you. I'm not particularly worried about Noah Buck. There are other guys who had more reasons to be aggrieved. In my opinion, Jack McGlynn had more reasons to be aggrieved about not getting a senior call-up, although I don't think he was worth one either. I also don't think Ben Kremaski is a senior team level player, and I think they just called him up to worry about because of Argentina and maybe a little bit the Messi effect, right? But Diego Luna has also been playing in MLS. So Diego Luna, Jack McGlynn, Brian Gutierrez, you could argue, has actually outperformed Jack McGlynn playing for Chicago. So there are three guys right there. Maybe even an Obed Vargas is a guy who feels, aggrieved. Those guys were all with the U20 cycle. So maybe he felt like he was snubbed by the Olympics, and that's more what he's talking about. And I think that's where he's got a point. But, dude, you can't be middling in MLS and expect to call up. You have to remember, too, like MLS is irrelevant now and should continue to be for our senior team. We are trying to compete with the rest of the world. At best, MLS is for the very, very young. At best. And so if you're still playing in MLS, to be honest, I don't think you're entitled to any kind of a call-up. I think you got to be pushing yourself at a high level. I can see us giving younger call-ups for like Olympics and stuff, giving some guys chances, but I don't think anybody playing in MLS is entitled to a call-up. John Riley says McGlynn is most likely going to Ireland, has more of a chance to not only be on the team, but to start. I don't know. Do we know that? I think that we might just be assuming. Has he made comments about Ireland? I think, McGlynn has been in the U.S. program for a long time, right? So we're talking about the last 2 cycles, 2-3 years at least. I don't think there's any reason that he should go to Ireland, especially if he wants to play in a World Cup. I think he's got a higher chance of breaking into the midfield at some point, particularly considering our injury history, than Ireland qualifying for the World Cup again. Maybe not, though. UEFA will get a lot of spots, so we'll see. We'll see. All right, guys. This is it. Thanks for hanging. Smash that like button. LAFC versus Miami is up next. I'm not going to watch it because I might turn it on, but I'm not going to do a live watch along for it because I have to work on the Patreon video for tomorrow so that I don't have to do it on Labor Day. Happy Labor Day weekend, guys. What are you guys doing? Anybody got fun Labor Day plans? Jason, late for the party. No worries, man. You can rewatch it. UCL group of death. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be Milan and PSG that go through, but some people are convinced that Newcastle, I think people have a little bit of new kid in town sort of thing with Newcastle. I don't think they're ready to get out of their group. This team has no Champions League experience. They're still figuring it out as they go. Dortmund look very shaky, so I think they could beat Dortmund. They might get third and go into the Europa League, but I can't see that. Unless PSG has a meltdown, Milan is the strongest team, in my opinion. Milan is the strongest team. Guys, is Tack doing the Miami game? Okay, if Tack, guys, head over to Tack's stream to do the Miami game there, because I think he's doing it. Let me double check. I'll confirm. Will confirm. When I'm streaming, my computer's so slow. Will Maurer says, yeah, he is. Let me double check and I will confirm for you guys. And then we'll wrap this up and y'all can head over there. Tactical Manager TV. You got to go to live because it's a live watch along. Yes, he is doing it. He is doing it in an hour and 15. At 6:45? Yeah. So LAFC Miami, he is doing it. I will not be doing it, but head over there if you want to watch it in the next hour or so. All right, guys, have a good one. Have a fantastic, happy Labor Day. Whatever you guys are up to for Labor Day, enjoy. Well, not this video, but all these clips for all these players will be on Patreon tomorrow morning. Thanks to everybody who helps to support me there. It's been a fun series to do, and I love that you guys are enjoying it as much as I am. Have a great one, guys. I'll talk to y'all soon.